Andy Hart from WEEI.com. We are watching Patriots-Redskins 26-7, a score that has a nice, comfortable New England lead, but a game that, based on my reading of Twitter and interactions on there, fans aren't feeling all that great about this contest. 0-4 Redskins, 4-0 Patriots, and look who showed up just in time. Is that fashionably late? Is that what you call that?
Yeah, man. Sorry I'm late. What were you saying?
I was saying 26-7 looks okay on the scoreboard, but from what I've seen on Twitter, Patriots fans not all that happy with their 5-0 football team, or soon to be 5-0.
I was going to ask you, how do you think Belichick feels today?
Not good, and I don't think Tom Brady feels good either.
In what way? For what? Why?
The offensive line sucks. Have you noticed?
Okay.
Dante Scarnecchia, who everybody thinks can literally take you, me, and a couple other people and make an offensive line, apparently may have met his match right now because they are just not very good.
Okay, so do you think there's been a bunch of plays today where Brady could have thrown it away and didn't?
Bunch of plays that he could have thrown, like the interception, certainly. He freaked out and just lobbed it up in the air.
So I made the note of it before I even before that pick that I felt like there's a bunch of plays today, Andy, that usually he's bailing out of before. Like he's really good at that, right? Like getting rid of the ball, not taking hits, and to the point where he looks sort of like a Sally back there sometimes.
Right.
Because he gets rid of the ball so quickly and maybe overcompensates there.
Which I thought he did last week.
Which ideally does every week almost. Right. And for sure last week. Today, I feel like he took those sacks where he normally would be throwing the ball away. And so I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying, do you want an incomplete or a sack? And usually I'd want an incomplete. Unless, and here's where I'm going to be obnoxious.
Oh, I think I'm going to like this.
You're worried about your quarterback rating and your completion percentage. Sacks don't go against your numbers, do they?
Or maybe you heard the discussion about throwing it away so often last week, shying away, and maybe you're trying to make a point by forcing throws to your receiver group that you're not happy with. I'm
just saying, I just think some of those plays, certainly not all, I think some of those plays I've seen in the past, Brady throw the ball away. And I haven't seen the throwaway bailout thing as much today as I usually do.
But either way, whether it's an incompletion or a sack, he had, 3 sacks in the first half, and he got hit like 6 or 7 times. Either way, it's the reason the offense has been lackluster for 2.5 weeks now. The offensive line stinks. And I know they're in Washington, so the automatic connection is Trent Williams. Can you go trade for Trent Williams? But there's the bigger issue there. I don't know if you saw the report earlier today. Jason LaCanfora says Patriots have been very active in the pre-trade market, talking to the Bengals about Tyler Eifert, talking to the Bengals about A.J. Green. The problem is they have no cap room. And I know you and I are both cap is crap guys.
Yeah.
But it's less crappy this year. They don't have a ton of maneuvering that they can easily do, thanks mostly because Antonio Brown. You paid him $9 million on the cap, 4.5 this year, right? That'd be that's a trade slot right there that you ate up on your swing and a miss with Antonio Brown. So I know Isaiah Wynn might come back. Ted Karras just isn't very good. I like Ted Karras a lot. I love to chat with him in the locker room, but on a football field, he's just not very good.
So, it's a combination. The line and guys aren't open because a lot of those were covered. Were covered sacks. I mean, I don't know. You tell me. Do you think guys are getting beat clean off the line or Brady holding it? Here comes the rush.
I think it's a blending of the two. Not to be all Belichickian. They work in concert, pass protection and guys getting open, but they're not great right now. Josh Gordon, that deep ball early in the game, to me, for a guy who used to be a freak and an elite athlete, showed no ability to go get the football. It was like, oh, there it is. There it sails by. It's over. I don't know what he is now. He had a nice catch and run a few minutes ago on that underneath throw, but that's your number one receiver, especially with Julian Edelman, who's gotten it out today. He's got 100 yards, but clearly is still limited by that injury. And I don't know what the rules are with Toradol and shooting it up and taping things up, but they get another game on Thursday night, and he's fighting it.
Okay, folks, join us here on the comments. I'm watching them on the left. I see all of them. Sean Connor says, throw the ball away. I thought there a couple of times he absolutely could have done that. Julio says, no Dorsett. So they've tried to take away Gordon Edelman. I mean, you lose one guy and you see it is all that thin. I think that's why you see all those throws to the running backs, which are obviously there. Eric Schmotlak says, hey, Felger, Patriots are 10-0 when Sony scores a rushing touchdown. Have you seen Sony Michel? And as I ask you this, I'm going to run in the other room and get my notes because I left them in the other room. Have you seen a different Sony Michel today, Andy, or has it been more of the same?
No, I think he's had a couple nice holes to run through. I'll talk while you walk.
Thank you.
I think he looks slow still. I don't think he looks explosive, but I thought he had a couple big holes. He had the 25-yard run off the left side. Then he had the touchdown. I would say the best part of Sony Michel today that we've seen, Felger and fans, is that he's caught the ball a couple times, and they're trying to work on their lack of predictability to Sony Michel. And if he can catch the ball a little bit and become less predictable, maybe that opens up some room to run. But I still think he looks slow. I don't think he has much explosion.
Well, huge issue there throwing to him. At least that's a trend buster there.
That's what they need. They need that trend buster, and they just run to James White here. They need that. They need to, if you're going to lean on that backfield to be sort of the focal point of the offense, which it feels like the last couple of weeks it may end up being that, then you can't be predictable. The defense can't know you're running when Sony Michel comes in the game. And they've tried to break those trends today.
All right, folks. Again, you can hit us on the comments and the fan line I meant to mention. Hit the fan line. You'll in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. You can join us right here in a 3-box, obviously. And, of course, Andy, Ted Nugent comes in. Mike Nugent comes in, misses his first extra point. So that thing continues.
Yes. So the Patriots are getting used to scoring early and still only having 6 points and being down 7-6. He's hit the field goals, though, right? He's hit the field goals he needed.
He did the same thing Gostkowski did. He was in the middle of the field on the first extra point miss, and then I saw him move over to the left hatch with same mental problems.
Well, if you recall, and I'm sure you talked about this week on your show, he was one of the original complainers about the new PAT. Of
course.
For his new head coach pushed through. And I think it's funny that Bill pushes it through, and then he's the guy that has had the most issues with it lately. What do they call that? Jack Edwards call that? Football karma?
Bad hockey karma. All right, let's grab our first caller on the fan line. James in California usually comes shirtless. We generally have a dress code on the show, meaning you have to be dressed, but we allow James to do it because he's never he's just kept it to his hairy chest.
Jeez.
For now, I know.
He's got a sweater on.
It's off-putting, Andy. Go ahead, James.
When are they going to trade for a wide receiver already? This doesn't look good.
Okay, we'll drop you an answer.
Yeah.
So you just said it, Andy. I think they've been trying to trade that first-round pick all year. They offered it for Antonio Brown. Steelers turned it down. They offered it for Trent Williams. Redskins turned it down. I mean, I don't know. Diggs, apparently he's not going anywhere, but I'd give up a first-rounder for Diggs, Stephon Diggs. I think he's worth that kind of.
What about A.J. Green?
What's that?
First-rounder for A.J. Green.
No. I'm a no on Green. I don't like Green.
What about a first-rounder for A.J. Green and Tyler Eifert, package deal?
Okay, you could talk me into Eifert. He's never on the freaking field, but
where's A.J. Green?
But I just hate A.J. Green. He's just a straight down the field, chuck and duck. Does he run routes?
He's also soft as goo. He's one of your soft receivers. Very, very soft.
No question. Demaryius Thomas, same guy. I didn't like Thomas here. I don't like A.J. Green. I don't like those kind of guys. I would not give him a first-round pick.
But does he draw the defense? I think that's what they need right now. Is there is nobody on the offense that the defense lines up and says, where is so-and-so? There's no Rob Gronkowski. And I'm sorry, I think defenses are now realizing Josh Gordon is what he is. He is a complimentary receiver. And now you have Philip Dorsett out of the game, and who knows whether he plays Thursday. So Jacoby Myers bumps up. You just have a bunch of guys on the field who are just that, just guys.
Was there anything reported today about Manny Sanders?
No, but that their Saints have been active on. Not Patriots related, I should say. Apparently the Saints and the Patriots are two of the more active teams sort of trying to lay the framework for trades. Now, I should say this is all Jason La Canfora reporting, and he has some questionable reliability at times in the past.
If you were the Patriots and you could only have one, Trent Williams or one of these receivers we're talking about, what would it be?
I would take the receiver, and I would say only because Dante Scarnecchia seems to like Isaiah Wynn, and if they think Isaiah Wynn is coming back and can be that true left tackle, now you fill two holes theoretically. You get one off IR later in the year, and you fill one with a playmaker. Oh, we don't need a tight end. We got Ryan Izzo.
So no one within 30 yards of Ryan Izzo, and they're at the 12 or whatever. So
that's when he's at his best.
You figure how that happens. So they're going to have 33 at least points on the board. Maybe they'll get to 40 by it's all said and done. And you think they're still going to look at their offense and say, not good enough. We're going to look at their offense and say, not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, remember who the opponent is. The Redskins stink. They're a horrific football team, a horrific defense. I went and looked through. I mean, offensively and defensively, they're in like the bottom 2 or 3 dozens of categories. They don't put any fear in you. I know Bill said they're a good team and all, but they're not very good. If you had done this against the Bills last week and scuffled a little and then pulled away with points, then I'd give you credit. Oh, boy. Doink the miss. Oh, it went. Oh.
Too bad. Too bad we almost had another one.
It counts.
Boston Sports Take says, why not Tooney at tackle?
Well, then who plays guard? I think that's their concern is, you know, that
guard,
whole, I don't know. Shaq Mason hasn't been very good this year, and he makes a lot of money, right? But I think that the theory there is if you have your 2 guards as your best players, they can help with your backup center. They can help with your backup tackle, and maybe you kind of piece it together. It's Bill's whole theory of if you move a guy to a different position, now you've created 2 spots that are question marks instead of 1, which I kind of agree with because I think Tooney is a question mark at left tackle every week if you put him out there as your regular tackle.
Kiko on the comment line says, what about Harris? Where the rookie running back? Where do you think he's been?
Inactive, and something smells there to me. Something seems funky. I don't know if they don't like his attitude. I don't know if his work ethic. I don't know if there's something there because it was the preseason too, you remember. He was non-existent on the practice field, non-existent on the preseason field. Then he had 1 good game, and he's been non-existent since. He was active. I think James White, when he had a kid that week, he was active. But other than that, something feels funny there. Something smells funny.
Gotcha. Comment line says, play calling in the first half, a lot to be desired. There was a 3rd down or 4th down call there that, the direct snap on 4th and 1.
When it looked like they could have just run the ball. Brady could have done the QB sneak, the old tap on the button. I'm following your butt for the first down. Yeah, that was. And then even if you're going to call that play, you got to. That's back to the line. You can't let a linebacker just run free untouched on a short yardage play. That was a bad call, a bad execution, a bad everything.
How do you feel about all the throwing in the first half, that game plan, that approach?
I didn't love it. I thought they would come in and run. Teams have run on the Redskins a little bit. I think they were giving up like 5 yards a carry coming in. And this is a team that's trying to get their running game going, right? Like, you have a good defense. How did you win the Super Bowl? You decided you were a run-first team last year. And I know the line hasn't been great, but maybe today's a day to work on it. Now they've done it a little bit in the second half, but I would have come in and run more in the first half.
Okay, once again, folks, you can join us on the fan line. Hit the upper right-hand corner of your screen, and you can join us in a 3-box. Is there anything to complain about on the defense other than the tackling, the atrocious tackling by Team McCourty there on that reverse? I saw 30 and 32 with the 2 best chances. But other than that play, how do you feel about it?
That was a horrific play, 30, 32, 21. And Kyle Van Noy was chasing it and gave up on the play, which you really don't want to see. From a guy who likes to brag about how good they are on defense and wants all the credit. The only other nitpick would be the lack of being ready for the game to start. They called timeout with 15 minutes left. Like, they didn't know who was supposed to be on the field for the first play of the game. If this weren't a 5-0 team with the best defense in football, that's one of those things that some columnists would write a column about, and that's why they suck, but they're good, and it goes away.
They just showed Michael Bennett on the sidelines. It's the first I've noticed him today. Has he been playing?
He split a sack, I think, with Hightower a few minutes ago, but limited action. He's a rotational player. I'm sure you read the quotes.
Yeah, what do you think's going on there?
I think some of it's circumstantial early in the year. I think they have a lot of talent, and he's probably not good enough. You know, Bill's theory, if you have Reggie White, you play Reggie White. Well, Michael Bennett's not Reggie White. He's a decent player that rotates through.
You don't think hasn't he been pretty much a force wherever he's been?
He's been good. I don't know if he's as good as Bill glorified him in that Super Bowl, whatever that was, 49.
Yeah, I remember all over the place in that game, no?
Yes, but that was also a few years ago and a couple stops ago. There's a reason he's been traded, right? I mean, if you're that good, you don't get moved along unless you're really a jackwagon. But I think he's a guy to keep an eye on because he sounds like he's ready to pop off. He kind of half popped off about his 0 role. Oh, no, I'm joking. No, you're not. You're not happy with your role, and you just don't want to pop off quite yet, which I think is more poor tackling. I think is interesting. Remember when he was late to camp and And he basically said, I'll do whatever Bill asks me to do now because he respects me as a man and treats me as a man, and I'll treat him as a man. Well, that wore off quickly. We're about a month later, and he's already ready to pop off.
The Bennett's, you said you don't get traded around unless you're a jackwagon. I don't know if he and his brother are jackwagons, but they're a pain in the ass. Like, yeah. I feel we're always this close to getting picketed for something. You know what I mean? Like, there's always something underneath that's about to come out that is just like, why? What?
Right.
What?
They're a little less annoying, but they have a little bit of the Antonio Brown thing where you're waiting to see what's on social media or what they do. Or it also annoys me. I don't know why this annoys me. He's got like this big stack of books in his locker. Like he's
showing off
intellect. And by the way, like 5 copies are his book. What is it? Things that make white people uncomfortable, or what the hell the book is. That rubs me the wrong way.
Well, I don't trust those guys. When I say I don't trust them, I mean, like, I just feel like there's a pain in the ass something always right around the corner. So
Jamie Collins still good.
Still, who's been the defensive player of the year for the Patriots this year, Andy?
Wow, it's kind of a leading question.
Yeah,
we're talking about Jamie Collins. Yeah, I think Jamie Collins has been phenomenal, and which is why I love the fraud Patriot fans, and some of them are probably watching right now and interacting. But good for you. Enjoy Cleveland when he was traded, and Bill will never bring him back. He hates him, and now they're all glorifying him as a defensive player of the year candidate. He's always been great. It's just whether you want to deal with him and what he's looking for. Right now, I think he's just looking to make plays and win.
You don't think he looks any different now than he did the first turn? I've noticed him more than the first turn.
I think there's more talent around him. I think that's what is making this defense so good. I'm not sure any of these guys are as good as they're playing, but the collective sum is really, really freaking good. Like, I don't think Devin McCourty is this transformational back-end player. If you traded him to some other team, he's the defensive player of the month. He's the defensive player of the month because he's with Stephon Gilmore and Jamie Collins, and Hightower has been ridiculous today. Take a week off, and boy, does he look energized this week. A stud.
Andre with the question we've asked too. If you could only sign one, Van Noy or Jamie Collins, who are you taking?
Van Noy. I think there's less to worry about. Jamie Collins is back in a honeymoon period, right? And he's on a 1-year deal, so maybe he thinks he can get another big contract, right? Use the Patriots. Let's go to a Super Bowl, and I'll get another big contract. I think Van Noy seems to be one of those guys that truly likes Bill and the scheme and whatever. He fits. He hates Detroit, and now he loves New England.
Yeah, total buy-in. I would say the one warning sign with him is that he doesn't exactly ignore the noise now, does he?
No. But the dirty little secret is none of them do.
Yeah.
They just don't tell you about it till after they win the game later or when it's easy for them to chirp. They all do. That's what they did the whole Super Bowl run last year, right? Tom Brady, they say we're too old and we don't make plays, and they hear everything, and then they just regurgitate it as motivation.
It's kind of annoying. Can we find a different storyline? No one believed in us. Can we come up with something new?
Right. It was true 20 years ago when you started using it.
Correct.
It's no longer true when you're considered the greatest coach, quarterback, and team in the history of football.
Okay, folks. Again, if you're just joining us, we'll answer your comments here on the chat. You can, I think you hit that button right below the screen. The fan line's in the upper right-hand corner. You can join us on your smartphone if you want to join us. If you have just tuned in, let's just reset, Andy. How do you feel? They got 33 points on the board and counting. How do you feel about Brady in the offense today?
Not great. And if you played a real defense, or if you played a real offense that put some pressure on you in that way on the scoreboard, I think you're in trouble. And I give fans credit. A lot of fans on Twitter, fans you interact with, are like, well, what's going to happen when we play the Cowboys or even the Ravens or certainly the Chiefs or the Eagles? Some of these teams that, A, some of them have pretty good defenses, are balanced teams, and B, are going to score some points. They're not just – the Patriots defense at some point is not going to be impenetrable, right? There's going to be games where it gives up 21 points. That's just reality. Now you have to score. Jarrett Stidham in the game, by the way.
I was just going to say, 6 minutes left, and we have Jarrett Stidham. I like this. I think this is when they can be helping develop Jarrett Stidham. They should be doing this.
Right up until he throws a pick six, and then Brady comes back in with 3 minutes to play.
Don't throw a pick six. Don't throw a pick six, but they should be doing this.
And twofold, they should be doing this. A, he needs to get reps. He's legitimately your backup quarterback. So every rep matters to remove some of the, break the ice. And the line stinks. So Brady doesn't need to be out there in the fourth quarter.
So, and again, if we're resetting at the top of our quarter here, you think the line's the biggest problem on the team?
I do, because I don't know if you've paid attention. I think Bill has been as openly critical of the run blocking as he has almost anything ever.
Well, he did. He was asked about Michelle last week, and he says, well, if you can't get going, there's really not much you can do.
He's done that a few different times, and he doesn't usually do that. And usually it would just say, a lot of things we can do better, block it better, coach it better. But he's flat out said Michelle can't get going because there's no holes to run through. And I don't know how you change that, because I don't think Isaiah Wynn is just the cure-all. Marshall Newhouse is not the only problem. Ted Karras is an issue. Again, Shaq Mason, your best guard, has been an issue. Cannon got beat for an easy bull rush sack today. It's the whole group.
Wait. Well, at least we get to see Jacoby Myers. Why do you think? So, how about this question? Ooh. All this bitching and moaning by Brady, and let's call for what it is now. He did it again on Friday. That is, those are veiled shots at the young players, just categorically veiled shots at the young players. And it really has to be just about Myers, because, I don't expect Gunnar Olszewski to be there. He's really, really raw, but Myers was a factor in the preseason. They like him enough to put him on the team. He doesn't do many special teams, does he?
No.
So the coaches believe in him as a receiver to be on this active roster, and he doesn't play and Brady doesn't throw it to him. So what do you think's going on there?
I wouldn't completely eliminate, even though he's on IR, N'Keal Harry from that story too. And that started in the summer. There was one day in the summer where he threw to N'Keal Harry on a little out, and it just sailed 5 yards wide of N'Keal Harry, and Brady threw his hands up in the air. And Josh McDaniels, who was right near N'Keal Harry, said something to Harry and then looked back to Brady and threw his hands up in the air like that was your fault. So this whole young receiver, he hates working with them. But I also wonder, is it more than that? Is this pressure to, okay, you took away my Brown, go get me something else. This isn't good enough. We're not going to win with these guys, these young guys. Go get me A.J. Green or Diggs. I wonder, how they always say Bill is talking to his players when he's talking to the media? Well, is Tom talking to his head coach when he's talking to the media?
Yes.
So I think I don't want to work with young guys, which he never has, right? That goes back a decade. He doesn't like young guys. But the bigger issue is I think he's saying, go get me somebody. This is ridiculous. Get me somebody.
So I think it's sort of it. If you were in another market and heard us say it's clear, they wouldn't get it in another market, because they would say, well, he hasn't said anything. But we've been watching it now for 20 years, and with Brady, you do have to read between the lines or tone and pick it a little bit. And I think to us who've watched Brady, it is clear. He is whatever that is, pity party, complaining, whining, in a bad place, lobbying his team, his coach. I think that stuff's going on.
And last week he was all we hear is that Brady just wants to win, and Josh McDaniels, he'll hand it off 37 times if that's – well, they won last week. So why did the ride home suck, and why did the night sleep suck, and why did the next day suck? Because he's sulking because he wants to sling it to good receivers like 50 times a game. That's what he is, right?
Yeah, well, that's what he's become. That's for sure. He wasn't always like that. You say he's been that for a while. If you want to say since, the turn was 07, fine. But there was a time in the early part of it, Andy, you were there, where we never, ever in the first part of the dynasty ever talked about circle of trust. Ever. Right. It was always his favorite guy was the open guy, and he worked with a ton of different guys. And we bashed the team in 06 for not surrounding him with a lot. But it's not like he did this sort of stuff in 06. He just, sort of sucked it up and played through it. I never heard him chirp about it. Now he does.
I'm not sure he even knew he was that good back then.
Yeah.
And just think about it. That's 12 years ago now. We're talking about a full career for most quarterbacks, 12 years ago, that he believes himself capable of 5,000 yards and 45 touchdowns and slinging it all the time, and his little competition with Manning for stats and numbers and game on Peyton and all those things. That's who he believes he is. And I think he wanted to be back to that. I think that's what hurts the most is he wanted to – remember in 07 when he said, we're trying to kill people. We're not just trying to beat them. We're trying to blow them out. We're trying to score 50. And then he had kind of resigned himself last year to, if you win by 2, that's all you really need. I think he wanted Antonio Brown because he wanted to win by 50 points every week again.
Okay, let's play with it. Why? contract year for his next contract, wants to go out in a blaze of glory. This is his last year. He just wants to have leverage when he goes back to Kraft in the offseason. Why? Why is he so obsessed with the numbers?
I think it's the same old ego. What drives all men? Ego. We can pretend it doesn't. Ego, women, money. There's a few things in this world that drive men. We're pretty simple creatures. And I think last year, yeah, it's a great story for the do your job for Bill and Josh to say, oh, yeah, they won the Super Bowl 13-3 and Tom was just handing the ball off. I don't think Brady likes that story.
See, I don't believe it's ego, Andy. And Maz and I have been debating this for weeks now. He says ego, ego, ego. I think it's one of those other things I said. This is his last year and he wants to go out in a blaze of glory. To me, the most important team for him right now is TB12. So I think he's more interested now in TB12 or more committed to TB12 and seeing that grow than he is the Patriots. So I think that if his last year he throws 45 touchdown passes, that helps the brand. Or he wants to keep playing and he finally wants to get paid for once. And a big season helps him get paid. Or he just wants to stick it to Bill because he and Bill have this little competition now that's going back the last couple of years about whose team it is, blah, blah, blah. Like I think it's a more practical thing than just pure ego.
But does he not, if he plays 16 games and then 3 playoff games and they win the Super Bowl, doesn't that help TB12? Yeah. He's 42.
I don't think he gets it though. I agree. If all he has to do is stay healthy and not become, mistake prone, if he just manages them all the way to a championship and he's totally healthy at the end of the year, he'll get his money, he'll get his contract, he'll have teams knocking down the door for one chance at a championship. But I don't think he feels that way.
So on some level, that's ego, I think. I mean, it's a different packaging of it. I think there's being the focal point, being the centerpiece, being the reason, not part of the reason, is some degree of ego. But you brought up Bill. So are you not aligned with the idea that Bill and Tom are aligned right now against Robert because of the Antonio Brown thing?
Short-term alliance. Just a short-term alliance of convenience.
This is like Survivor for now.
Right. For this one, yes. They both wanted Antonio Brown and they were on the same page. In terms of the overall thing, I mean, I think in terms of extending Brady, giving him the big money, I think Bill and Kraft are on the same side on that. And that's the big one. That's the most important one when it comes to money and the contract. And I think that Bill and Robert are on that. And I think Bill would advise Robert, don't do it. And so that's what I think on that.
Okay. It's interesting. I don't think people understand, the history of this season right now, right? I mean, not just do they win, do they not win, Super Bowls, all that, but the end of the era, how does it end with Robert? And he can be a free agent. He can walk out the door and the Patriots can literally do nothing about it. And I feel like people know that, but don't really pay enough credence to it.
Nope. I don't think they're giving it its proper respect. All right, folks, we're going to cut it out here at the 2-minute warning because I'm sorry. As they said in Blazing Saddles, 15 is my limit on Schnitzengruben. I can't do a half hour on Patriots-Redskins, another fucking ridiculous, useless blowout. But, one of the most interesting thing to talk about is the Palace Q and the fucking kicker. So we got 20 seconds to go. Any final thoughts here? What do you think about this week against the Giants? I'm pissed the Giants are going down to defeat. I wanted Daniel Jones 3-0 coming into this game to help with the hype there.
Well, I'd like to help the hype by Saquon Barkley getting on the field, being the freak that he is, would certainly help the hype. I think it's an interesting week just because health. If Philip Dorsett is out, who knows what Julian Edelman's status is. He's looked good, but again, I don't know the rules of Toradol and painkillers and jacking guys up twice in 4 days. This could be a little bit more of a dogfight, and the home teams have been sneaky bad on Thursday night this year. So it's not just that old home team is the team to go with on Thursday night. It's also still the Giants, so it might be an ugly win to move in 6-0, but I'm certainly not picking the Giants to upset.
Okay, Thursday night, I will be back for the fourth quarter. I don't know, Andy, if you're in or not. We'll find out.
I'll be at Gillette.
We'll have some. Oh, yeah, so you're out. Someone will be in. And so, folks, we'll catch you fourth quarter live, fourth quarter of the Giants-Patriots game. Andy, thanks for checking in. We'll see you soon.
See you soon. And despite the tone, they are 5-0.
Attaboy. Bye.